the third part of this app build, and I'm exhausted. I've had like a really long day. I was filming a video and like filming the stuff that I needed to say for it, and that usually takes me a long time because I'm really slow at it. But now I'm ready and we're gonna get to it. It's gonna be 1 hour of building this out, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. Oh, all right. Let's take a look. So where we left off was here, I think. We did create a long list. Oh, wait. All right, so we did create a long list of things, but it's not, as far as I remember, it wasn't actually actual things. It was just like randomly colored containers, just to kind of demonstrate that there are different tasks in there, or different cards for the different tasks. Let me just put that over there. All right. So I'm just gonna have to check here and see where we're at. We got the in-tray page. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I remember now. So in here, if we do container, all right, so my computer is like super slow right now. I'm gonna see if I can fix that. All right, hopefully it'll be a little bit faster now. All right, so we'll just do this. We'll create a couple of containers, colors.red. All right, and then set the height to be 100. And then we'll copy that and we'll do another one below it. And that will be blue. I'm just doing this now to see kind of where we were at, because I don't really remember what we did. It's been a stressful day, so I haven't had time to do what I normally do, because normally I go through what I've done and like prepare a little bit, so I haven't really prepared for this one. All right, for, and this for loop is essentially just gonna create or add different all the containers to a list. List. Oh, I less than 10. I think we want to create 10 containers, and then I++. All right. Then we'll do list.add, and we'll do that. Oh yeah, that's right. So we'll add a container here, like so, and then we'll remove this container, and then we'll add that as well. So we'll do list.add colors.blue. All right, so I think that's gonna work. And then we'll return the list. All right, so now we should be at where we were when we stopped. All right. So there we go, we have a long list of all, this would be the different tasks once you press like add, and then you add a new task. I think this, what I thought of yesterday, I think, was that I'm gonna do something where I create a minimum viable product that's essentially going to be just this app part, or this part of the app. It's just going to be this screen. So I'm going to build that out, and then I'm going to try to publish that to the App Store and to Google Play, because then we kind of get this base functionality up and working, and then we can add on, like we can iterate on that product, and we can add the different pages, because otherwise I personally just want to get this app out, and I want to use it myself. So that's kind of why I feel like just publishing it straight away. Also, I can get some feedback from you guys on what you think of it, and yeah, then I can kind of improve it, and we can improve it in a sense as we go. And then we can add all the other different tabs and the different screens in afterwards as like iterations on the first minimum viable product. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make just a little list of like what would be the things that I would need to have in order to be able to actually publish the minimum viable product. So I'm going to create a new, let's see if we can do this. Okay, no. App requirements, there we go. All right, so we're gonna remove that. All right, so in order to actually publish a minimum viable product, what we would need is we need to build the REST API, so that needs to be up. REST API needs to be working. We're just gonna create a bullet point list here. All right, REST API. We also need to create all the classes. This for like the notes, the projects, all that stuff. I really want to essentially have all that stuff working straight away so that we can then just essentially work on the Flutter app and not really have to do too many things with the REST API. We might have to change some things because inevitably I won't be able to think of all the things that might be needed straight away. So we might have to actually add some things later on. But these two things, if we can create those, then we can essentially pull that down in here, and then we can add different tasks in here, and then push them to the REST API, save them on the database. And then what we need is we need to be able to add items in the app. We also need to be able to move different items. Hierarchy. That's not how you spell that. Maybe that's not how you spell that either. Hierarchy. I don't care. That's close enough. Move different items. So that's what I'm thinking, is just that when you add different items here, they'll just get added in the order that you add them. But I want to be able to also move them up or down, and depending on what the importance of the task is. So that's something that we need. So we need to then also create the add new task screen, or maybe window. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. And what else do we need? I think that's going to be pretty much all that we need, because we just need to be able to, in order to just publish this as like a very, very simple to-do list app, we just need to be able to add different tasks in our to-do list, and we need to be able to like press done also on them, like say that they're completed. So what do we do today? I think today we should design the cards here, probably work on the move items in the hierarchy functionality. And Oh, okay, yeah, I think that's what we should start with that. And then once we've done that, we can see kind of how much time we have left, because I want to do this stream for just about 1 hour, maybe an hour 30 minutes. And depending on where we're at, if we're even able to finish that today, then we'll go into maybe adding the screen or the window for adding new tasks. All right, so let's take a look at what the cards look like. So that is kind of what I've made them look like. I probably want to add something like a little radio button or something like that, so you can press that they are actually done. As you can see here, you can, if they're I don't know what that would be called, but when they're like marked like that, they're done, and then when they're not marked, they're not done. Probably when you mark them, they should disappear or something, at least from the in-tray list. So that is something that we're going to do. We're going to have a radio button in them. We're going to have the card and then the title of the note. All right. So let's design that. We'll create a widget here. Get to do widget. Something that I feel like I need to actually get to is creating, because this way what I'm doing now is I'm creating a method that returns a widget. What you could do, and what I think is like what you should do when you use Flutter, is actually create like a separate, create your own widget in a sense, almost like you created a class. I haven't really looked into that, so I've failed to actually learn how to do that, but we can actually check that now because I don't think it's super difficult. All right, let's see. Create own widget Flutter. Class power, above set revision. All right, so what we'll do is we'll create something in here, maybe called widgets. Yeah, all right, we'll create a new folder in models and we'll call that widgets. And then we'll create a new file and we'll call that in-tray card. In-tray to do widget .dart. All right, and then what it looked like is you create a class and then you name that class. We'll name that in-tray to do, and then this extends the stateless widget. I think we need to import material and then stateless widget. Okay, I do read the chat sometimes, but I feel like as soon as I start reading the chat, I kind of get lost in the chat, and it just creates a long moment of silence when I like try to read everything out and try to figure out what to respond to. But Sergio asked if you could, or said you can run your or use your apps without publishing them, right? And that's true. You can just use them. I can just basically connect my phone, and then I could just pull the app over into my phone and then use it there. But I feel like the advantage of publishing it, I don't know if I would publish it to be like public, but you could publish it in beta or something like that. And then I could ask some of you guys to become like beta testers, and I could create like a small group where I could get some like direct feedback on the app, and that would be the advantage of doing it that way, versus just me testing it on my own. So that's kind of the idea why I wanted to publish the app as soon as possible. Okay, so why did this not work? Oh yeah, create missing override, there we go. So here we go. Now we can create the the cards. It's still super difficult to talk and do this at the same time. Like my thinking is way too slow to be able to do this. Height 100, color, colors. Actually, let's just do the red color. All right, save that, and what we'll do, go to the in-tray page, and then we'll add list.add did I call it to do? I think I called it to do. In tray to do. Okay. Nope, that didn't do it. Oh. Oh yeah, that's why. All right, so there we go. And if we run this now, if we run this now, it should show, yeah. So there we go. We have a long list of different cards, and these are these widgets that we created up here. So what we do now is we design these widgets essentially to look the way that we want them to look. So we'll create a margin, edge insets, and this is what then will separate the different containers. So if we do edge insets top and then go 10 and then run it, you see they separate. So then here we can actually see that we have different items in this list. So there we go, we have some margins set for them. We probably also want to have left and right 20, right 20, and we'll go top 20 as well. Maybe bottom is better. The reason that I think bottom might be better is because if we have top, then there'll be a margin up here, and we don't really need a margin up there, we just need a margin down below. So that's why we want to have it on the bottom. All right, so there we go, we have a long list, and now we need to actually create it in the way, or design it in the way that we have it on in the design here. All right, so there we go. Okay, let's do decoration, box decoration, and this is what we use to then set the corners to be round and that stuff. So border radius dot all, and then radius dot circular. And in case you're like new to this, the only reason that I remember this stuff is that I've been using it so much now that I just remember it. And at the start I would have to Google how to do this every time. So it's not like, it's pretty much just one of those things that you don't, like I don't, what do you call it? Like route memorization. I don't use that to memorize all these different things. It's just that once you use, or the things that you use enough, you'll kind of remember automatically. There we go, round corners. I think that the margin might be a little bit much. Let's try just setting that to be 10 instead. All right, I think that this stuff is, again, the stuff that I kind of get stuck in. That's not super important, but I feel like that was a little bit too small of a space between them. All right, I think that's pretty good. Good enough for now. Then we have box shadow, and I know because I just like learned this the other day, because I don't use this that much, but box shadow is like an array, and then in that you can add a, I'm not sure what it was called now. So then we Google. Box, actually, I know I have another app where I used it. Job listings app. This is for the video that's coming out on Friday. Main, and then search for box shadow. All right, there we go. We have a shadow there. We'll delete or exit out of that and exit out of that. Paste it. Don't have to rewrite it. And now we have a shadow, but it's like light gray, so it doesn't look that great. Let's do black. Will that work? Okay. Don't know if I like that. There's also, I also found this out just like a couple days ago, but there's something called opacity, or you can just do, when you have one of those colors, you can just do dot and then with opacity, and then you can set the opacity in here, which is really convenient, especially for this stuff. So there you go. I don't know if you actually saw that, but it did change the opacity of the shadow, so now it doesn't stand out quite as much. Let's take a look at, yeah, I think that's good enough. All right, so there we go. We have those things. What else do we need? So now we look at this card, and we imagine that we also have a little thing like this. Essentially, this is what we want it to look like. So we want a radio button like that, and then we want the title of the to-do. So the way that I look at this is we would need a container here, or what we would use is a row, and then we have this thing in one column or one section of the row, and then in the other section of the row we add a column, and then we have the shopping list and then the subtitle below that. I'm not sure if we're going to use the subtitle though, but I think we're going to make something like that anyway. All right, child. What did we want? Okay, row. Children. I think no, we'll just do radio button and hope that that's going to look good straight away. Okay, we're gonna leave that for now. And then we're gonna do a column children and text. Title. And this is then something that's pretty good about using these widgets, is that we can then add something like final string title, and then we do int tray to do like that, or what? Oh, there we go. Is that what it should look like though? Okay. That seems to work though, but I still, mostly where I've seen it in other apps, it looks like this. And that's kind of what they use as well when you open up like the first Flutter project. They use the curly braces and then the regular brackets or braces, parentheses. Yeah, anyway. So that was what you would use to then get the title. So then we can set this text here to be equal to the title. All right, and then int tray page, we probably need to do this. We'll set this to be hello. Title. All right, so that's what it looks like now. It doesn't look that great, but what we need to do as well is we need to add some padding. So margin is essentially outside of the widget that you're using. So when we're adding margin, we're adding space on the outside of the widget. If we add padding, we add space on the inside of the widget. So if we add padding here, essentially the hello will get moved down a little bit instead of it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna show you. Padding, edge insets all, I think, 10. So there you go, it kind of gets everything moved in a little bit. All right. What we can do now is we can do style. Let's see what we named that. Int tray title style. Okay, so we want to create something that's similar to the int tray title style, but we want it to be for a little bit smaller. All right, copy that and then paste it and then call this dark to do title. That's going to be good enough. And then we'll call that 30. Okay, copy that, paste it here. Okay, run it. And then we get kind of the bigger title of the text, which is pretty good. We also would want this to be movable. So we're gonna, I don't really know how to make something movable. I think there's something called, or what is that called? Because I know I've used it in some other app, but it's one of those things that I don't use ever really, so therefore I don't really know how to do it. Okay, let's see. draggable widget. The difficult thing is like coming up with what the actual wording or like how you're gonna phrase the thing that you're looking for. So what I'm looking for is something that's like a widget that's movable, but it's not just movable like randomly. I want it to be pretty like strictly movable, if that makes sense. So if we looked at this tutorial, what they showed us is how to make something that you can just move anywhere on the screen, and that's not really what we're looking for. Maybe if we don't use X or Y, yeah, if we don't use X, that might work though. Okay. Movable, okay. We're gonna copy all of that. We're gonna paste it in here because it's easier to read. Movable stack item, stateful widget, movable stack item, stack item. Okay, Y position is what we want. We don't want the X position. Color is gonna be our red color. Left, don't care about that. But I don't really know. I don't think this is the one though. Move items in list Flutter. Draggable. Okay, so that seems to be what we're looking for. No. Example. Alright, so what we do, I think there's gonna be a repo, so Flutter Reordering list. There we go. Okay, lib example. As soon as I get to something like this and it's like, how many lines is that? Like 245. I just want something that's like super quick and simple. And I'm pretty sure that there is something that is way simpler than this. All right, let's do another try. What did I Google just before? Move items in list. Reorderable list view. Widget of the week. I think that's all we want. Okay, reorderable list view. I don't want to watch a video. Okay, so this might work, but I'm not sure. So we're going to delete all of this. I'm going to save it. I think what we need to do is essentially, instead of this being a list view, it should be a reorderable list view. And then on reorder, not sure what that's supposed to do, but let's see. On reorder callback, old index, new index. Okay. on reorder. Final reorder. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll create a global list here with containers, and that will be our to-do items. All right, and then what we'll do is we'll call this, oh yeah, so this needs to be something like that, and then we'll delete that, and we'll do, what do we call that again? Items, to-do items. Okay, I think this may work now. Hopefully it works. Children everywhere. All children of this region must have a key. All right. All right, so it seems like that needed a key for some reason. I'm not sure that this actually solves it, but it might. No, it didn't solve it. This is one of those errors that I've gotten before, and every time I'm able to solve it, it's like I never really know how I solved it. Let's see, failed assertion positions as children.every widget.key does not equal null. Either the assertion indicates an error in the framework itself, or we should provide substantially more information to help you determine and fix online. In either case, please report this assertion by filing a bug on GitHub. Widget creation tracker service. Okay. So that did not solve it. Okay, let's Google it then. Container key 1. Because this is essentially what I did for this new one. Pretty sure. I added a key for each of the containers, and that still didn't really solve the problem. Reorder on reorder list, children reorder list. Okay, what if we do this then? And we do that. Okay, and then we'll do to-do items here instead. To-do items. I don't think this should solve it, but nope. Okay, tried calling instance of intray to-do. The method add was called on null. Oh, okay. I think we didn't even, I don't think that solved it. I just think we created another error and it's still going to give us the same one. Yeah. Cal, on the link I shared, line 79, there's a build reorder list simple method. Maybe it'll help you. All right, I'll check it out. This is what one Marco 0 sent in. Line 79, let's take a look. 79, will build reorderable list example. Simple, allow reordering. Allow reordering. Simple sample items. All right, let's copy that one. And we'll need to import that or to install that package. Okay, we have that, and what we'll do, we'll remove that, we'll call that our to-do items. Build list tile. Is notified for Trojan. in tray to do. Build list tile. Okay, allow reordering. Let's install the package wherever we can find it. Copy that. Alright, what we'll do is, because I can't really be bothered, seems like, I don't know, I can't really find that there's a package for that one, which means I might have to like git clone it or like go through its repo in order to actually get it. Or no, I don't need to get it. Wait. Build reorderable list. On reorder. Let's try this thing. Just to see if that works. Okay. Then we'll run it. Nope, still didn't work. Okay, he does something like with this map thing, and I'm thinking that might be what is important. In tray to do, build list tile. So we'll do that, save it. Options, we don't need options, right? Okay, so that actually did work. Oh. Okay. This was a bit of an effort, to be honest, to make this work, but now it seems that you can, in fact, reorder them, which is good. So now what we need to do is we need to make sure that we actually get what we want to get. So we list tile. All right, so then just make this into a list tile instead. Right. Okay, we'll try it and we'll see what happens. List tile. And all right, so this might work then. All right, so that didn't work either. Okay, let's do list tile. Okay, and then we'll remove what we changed here. Save that. And I mean, it feels like we're going in circles, kind of doing something over and over again that should just be simple to do once, or we should just need to do that in one place, which I don't really like. Let's do padding. Oh. 300. Right, so now we should be able to move them, which we are able to do, right? So that works, but it feels like we're doing everything twice, really. But I think that the thing is, in reality, when we build this app, or in reality, once we get the back-end stuff going, what this would be, this list, would be really a list of a to-do item. What we can do, actually, we can create that class. So create a new folder in here. We'll call that classes. And then in here we can create a file called to-do item. If we go here, I think I have, let's see, I'm gonna open up Evernote and see if I can find, because I wrote down some requirements for the app, or for what I was thinking that the classes would look like. So here we go. I think screens, classes, here we go. Copy that, paste it here. Ooh. Okay, so here are the classes that I came up with. So first of all, we're gonna have a task. I think these ones are gonna be tasks. So this could be a class that we can create straight away. And these are essentially what the things that I came up with that I think should be in this class, and that is a note. So there's of course a note, or not of course, but there can be a note where you write down some things about this task, and then we have a date, which is the time to complete, and then we have a bool whether it's completed or not, and then we have a string which is for repeat. So if we want this thing to repeat every week or something like that, we have a deadline, and then we have a reminder, and then we have the task ID, and then we also have a list of tasks within this task. I'm not sure if you can do this, but we'll see if we can do this. But because I don't know whether we can whether we can create a class and then have a list of that class within that class. I'm not sure whether that works. And then we have another class here called projects, and that's going to be like the more overarching thing, where we'll have a list of different where you can kind of categorize things in a different way. Anyway, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now, and it's kind of difficult to explain it in a way for it to make sense. So I think it's better to just build it out and show you kind of how I'm thinking that it's going to work. So we'll create that class in here. Oh, actually, rename this to do item dot dart task dot dart. All right, class task, and then we'll have a list of task. Okay, so that seems to work. That's really good. String note, and then we have date time, time to complete. Not sure what I meant for that, because we have a deadline and then we have time to complete. I'm not sure whether I meant that the time to complete is going to be like, yeah, that's right. I think what I meant by time to complete is how much time am I going to allow myself to complete this task. So for instance, if we say like, okay, I'm gonna do a live stream, then I know that I'm gonna do that for 1 hour and 30 minutes. So the time to complete would be 1 hour and 30 minutes. I think that should just be a double, because we don't really need it to be actual time, I don't think. Yeah, actually it does need to be time. Date time, time to complete. Oh, I just created it 2 times. Man. All right, boom. Completed. And then we have string repeats. Then we have date time again. Deadline. Date time, reminder. This could probably be a list, so we could probably have this as a list because we might want to have several reminders. And then we'll call that reminders instead. And then we'll create a string task ID. And then we'll create the, what is this called again? Constructor, that's the one. All right, and this dot note. Okay, I forgot to even add the title here. So title. So what we want is just, we're not gonna use all the things right now, so we just want title, and we probably want completed as well. Dead. Okay, so there we go, we have that class done. Now what we can do is we can make this a little bit more the way that it actually would be made. So instead of this being a list of in-tray to-dos, it would be a list of tasks. And then we import tasks. All right, so that is task list instead, to be a little bit more specific. Get list. Okay. Dot task ID maybe. What was it again? It was title, and we're going to use just my first to do plus I.toString. And then the next one was false and false. All right, and then we're going to use ID as well. So task ID. Oh no, I.toString. So that's going to be the ID for now. We're going to add that here. Task ID. All right. Whew. And that is just so that we can then get a key that we can then use up here. So we can say that the key of the list tile, this is like the main thing, or the thing that actually creates each item essentially in this list. So that, and the key here is the thing that what would you call it, like identifies the different tasks or the different things in the lists, and that is why you can then move them between up and down. I think that's why it needs to be very specific the way that you do that. Okay, and then title should be in tray to do, and then we don't need a key value for this one. We just need title equals item dot title. Okay, and then on reorder. Okay, I'm not really sure what I'm doing right now. I think this works, but I'm not sure whether I'm actually changing the right thing right now. Because we are, well, what I'm adding right now is each of these things, instead of reordering the class that's like the in tray to do class, that widget, now instead we're just changing this list of tasks. So we're changing the order in which, in the order within that list essentially. And I'm not sure whether all of them are supposed to just change the order on that list, because that list is not really, unless we, yeah, well, we do set state here, so it might rebuild this thing as well. Because the thing that I'm thinking of is like, if we have this, or here is where we essentially build that list of all the to-dos. And what we're using is the list of tasks that we created, and then we create a new list that contains the different in tray to-dos, so that widget, so these widgets essentially. And therefore we have a second list here that is just a widget list. It just contains the widgets, and then we have the first list here which just contains the tasks. So what we're doing now in all these set state and on reorder is we're changing the order of the tasks, and we're not changing the order of the widget list essentially. But since I think that we use set state, and I think the on reorder, yeah, that uses set state as well. So that should then change that list, and that should also trigger this list to be rebuilt. So I think that it works. But we'll run it and see if it works. Okay, so the way to test it is by moving something, because I've added the sum identifier here, so it's like 0 to 9. So if we move this thing up, yeah, it stays the same, so that's good. So that means that it works, which is great. because that's exactly what we wanted it to do. All right, now we're able to move the different items, which is great. I don't really like that it creates like this white background here. So we're gonna see if we can change that. List tile, background, no. Color, no. Okay, what if we do, if we remove this? Alright, we might want to do bottom 5, maybe? This is just a little bit of extra design. Okay, yeah, so that looks pretty good. And now we can press that and we can move it down if we want. Oh, it's a little bit, I think it's more difficult probably doing this on the emulator rather than doing it on an actual phone. But it works pretty good, so I'm happy with that. So thank you to Mark0 for sending that in, that tip, because that helped me a lot. I also want to get this across. This is kind of why I do this live, is because I want to show that I'm not a magician, I'm not an expert, I just do these things. I don't even know that much, it feels like sometimes. So it's really not super difficult to actually be able to build these sort of things, because as you can see, I mess up all the time and it takes me a while to do even things that may seem very simple. So that's just kind of one of the secondary purposes of this live streams. All right, but that's good. We're able to do that now. I'm happy with that. The last thing before we stop this stream is going to be to try to change that color if we can, because I don't like that we're changing the color behind there, unless we maybe change it to something else. Yeah, so we want to change it to something else. Let's see if we go here, on reorder, color. Change color of reorder. Oh, wait. Okay. Reorderable list, that's true. So we might try something, if we wrap it in a theme, that might work. My computer gets super slow when I'm streaming as well, so it's like every time I'm scrolling it takes like a little bit too long to actually react. Okay, new theme data. All right, that worked. So that is sometimes one of the things that you have to do. You have to wrap your things in themes, and that way you can then. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm like losing the train of thought all the time. Yeah, so you have to wrap your widgets sometimes in different themes, and that way you can then set the color for different things. If we don't have this theme, then selecting that thing just turns that into white. Oh, okay, it needs to be there. Yeah, so anyway, it doesn't matter too much. When we press it now, long press it, it just turns into the dark gray. It doesn't look great still because, actually what we could do is we could probably do colors dot transparent, maybe. We'll see if that works, because that way, yeah, so there you go. Now we move them, and we can move them without any background color at all, which is really good. The only problem is that there's not really any there's not that much feedback when you long press them. The only thing that happens is the items below it move down slightly. But again, if this is just going to be like the minimum viable product, it's not super important. The most important thing is like that we can do some of these things. The idea essentially is for there to be a couple bugs when you do the minimum viable product. Shorthand for minimum viable product is MVP, so I'm going to use MVP from now on because it takes too long to say the full thing. It's not really the idea for it to be bugs in the MVP, but it's okay for there to be bugs in the MVP. Anyway, that's kind of it looks pretty good right now, I think, and we've got that up and running. So I think the next time what we're going to do is we're going to start working on the REST API using Python. So that's going to be pretty exciting. And also, before we end this, I just want to mention that a lot of people have signed up to my newsletter that I created a couple of days ago called Clean Code Friday. So in case you haven't signed up for it, I just want to mention kind of what that's about. So it's going to be a newsletter that I'll send out once every week, so on Friday every week. And it's going to essentially contain just a couple of like bullet points regarding things that I find throughout the week that I think are interesting and that I think you might enjoy. And that might be things like podcasts that I'm listening to, or books I'm reading, or articles I've read, or like tips and tricks when it comes to coding, even productivity tips, really just anything that I think you might enjoy is going to be in this letter. So if you want to sign up to it, you can go to caltech.com and then /cleancodefriday. I can actually go to it right now so that you can see it. caltech.com/cleancodefriday. So it's all spelled out like that. And then you can sign up for it in case you want to get an email from me every week. It's going to be super short, and it's completely entirely inspired by Tim Ferriss. So in case you see some resemblance to the 5-Bullet Friday that he sends out, that's exactly where I got my inspiration from. So I think that's just such a great idea because it's a really short thing, and it contains a lot of different informations and things that I usually find quite interesting to read. And I wish more people did this sort of thing, so that's why I kind of started it. So anyway, that's going to be pretty much it for today. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how far we got today. So next time is going to be the REST API using Python. So I hope you'll join me for that one on Monday at 2 p.m. Central European time. Today I was a little bit later, so that it was 3 p.m. today. But next Monday it's going to be 2 p.m. Central European time. So I hope you'll join me then, and I hope I'll see you next time.